The Ashes rivalry, of course, England taking on Australia at Barbados. This is match number 17, and Australia and England have both played. Australia won their game against Oman. England had a washed out game. We'll talk about England first because they were a little nervous the other day. 90 in the 10 overs against Scotland.
Yeah, 90 in 10 overs, and it didn't look. I mean, they didn't look particularly impressive for me. I mean, Chris Jordan got hit. None of the fast bowlers. Mark Wood looked quick, but didn't really get that much off the pitch. This is 90 going for 90 against Scotland. They will have alarm bells ringing as well in the England camp because they've not performed at their best. And if the match had been played, it could have been a very dodgy match for them to play.
So, alarm bells ringing, does that mean Chris Jordan sits out? Parthiv, do you see Sam Curran coming in? Do you see changes at all?
Yeah, I think that they might just look at there whether Sam Curran can use him because of the slightly bigger, squarer boundaries, slow pitch. His cutters will come into play. I think that's something which they can think of. Ball does swing a bit initially as well, and Chris Jordan is not traditionally a bowler who bowls with the new ball, but because the kind of bowling lineup they have to bowl him in power play, and Chris Jordan to me is like those Air Jordan, is always expensive. So
there's IPL.
so they'll have to probably make sure get someone in Sam Curran will bring in that variety and he can give you that batting cushion as well.
And as far as the batting goes, if Phil Salt, Will Jacks, Joss Buttler carry the form that they had during the IPL, England can sit back and say we don't mind the expense of Chris Jordan, but we need the batting to fire.
Yeah, they need the batting to fire, and this is their batting lineup. And I think even if they have one or two, last match they didn't get a chance to play, even if they have one or two failures, this is the batting lineup they're going up. Because if you look at it, their only replacement in batting is Ben Duckett. And I don't think he's their first option. They think this is the team to do it, and they have everything covered. They have hitters up front, they have guys like Joss Buttler, they have Will Jacks who can attack. Okay, but they also have players like Harry Brook who can play a more traditional style of cricket. And I think the England batting side doesn't have any problem with it. If now Moeen can give them enough support, Adil Rashid can give it to them and their fast bowlers perform, that is the worry that England has right now.
Yes.
I think the batting is something that they think they have a pretty good unit right now.
All right, then we have to have a look at Australia's team. They played against Oman. David Warner, Stoinis look good. And of course, they always want David Warner to fire. Stoinis also getting them those wickets. Of course, Glenn Maxwell was questionable again. His form has been an issue. We've spoken about it a lot. No Pat Cummins. Do you see him coming in tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why, because they were playing against Oman, that is the reason why Nathan Ellis played ahead of Pat Cummins. Looking at the workload, having Pat Cummins having played the full IPL, I think that could be the reason why he didn't play that first game. So I see him coming into the playing 11 for sure. And that otherwise, for one good positive which Australia had was David Warner getting those runs.
Yes.
He got 56 of 51, but that's fine. He got time in the middle. Marcus Stoinis is a very, very important wheel in that team, because if he gets runs, his confidence also carries on with the ball, and that's exactly what happened. And he's someone who's a power hitter in this team, so they need him to fire. And Maxwell's always been their player where they would, every time you would expect him to get runs. So just you always get this kind of performance from him. Either you will get a very, very big performance or you will get nothing. Okay. And then that kind of chance where a lot of teams are ready to take it. And Australia is also hoping that Maxwell will come through and play an inning like what he played against Afghanistan in 50 over World Cup.
I think everyone always hopes that Maxwell does that, but Maxwell, the bowler, also can be utilised in these pitches.
No, definitely can be utilised, and that's what he's saying is so true. That what happens is you have temperamental players like this, but they're match winners. So you say that the 10 of us can carry the load, but the day he clicks, he'll take the match, And everyone wants one or two match winners like that. I mean, for me, England has, they carry Jofra like that. They really feel Jofra is like, he's one of those players who can really, on his day, really do it.
Yes.
And though he's still not in the form, there are bowlers who are in better form than him, but they feel that if they persist with him, he gives them that some magical extra.
So who's going to be the magical player tomorrow, your players to watch out for?
My player to watch out for Australia is Travis Head. He's in good form. He didn't get runs. He didn't get a lot of people love since playoff. He has got a run in IPL. So I think Travis Head, it's somebody will be very hungry to score runs. So for Australia, Travis Head.
And for you?
For me, Mitch Marsh, I mean, he's captain. I think he really, and I think what happens is if he bats well and he can start bowling a couple of overs, start giving them overs, then they have so many all-rounders that team is very difficult to beat because, they bat up to 8, 9, they bowl, they have 6, 7 bowlers bowling. So it's a very good side, but Mitch Marsh, in the T20 unit, Mitch Marsh is their main player.
And for England?
For England, I think Jofra, just because the kind of length which he bowls, you've seen if someone bowls those bouncers to Travis Head or David Warner or even to Mitch Marsh with that steep bounce, he can trouble those Australian batters. So, if he can get a couple of wickets early on, I think England can get on the roll. So, for me, Jofra Archer.
I think England is really dependent on Jos Buttler, and I think he's a big player for them.
Yes.
His tournament will determine, his form will determine a lot of how England does in this tournament.
Okay, I want to quickly have a look at their group and the points and who stands where, because this is imperative. Scotland sitting up there, and it's imperative for the defending champions England to win tomorrow because they have had that washed out game. So for England, there'll be more pressure tomorrow.
Definitely England, there'll be more pressure tomorrow because if England lose to Australia, because they have that washed out game, and now if Scotland go and win all their matches, then it could come down to a run rate between them and Scotland, assuming Scotland also lose to Australia. So that's the dangerous thing. Whenever you have a washout of a test team versus an associate nation team, the test team is at a huge disadvantage because that means that a game that they should have won has gone to a draw.
Yes.
And that's a game now Scotland will not lose. It's not that they will win it, but they will not lose that game. And therefore, England will be worried about that point difference because now they'll be watching Scotland's games very carefully.